Welcome to How to Wall Baste a Quilt. My name is HollyAnne Knight of String and Story, and it's my job to guide you to quilt with confidence. I'm so excited to introduce you to this technique for using your design wall to baste your smaller quilts. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer. I probably wouldn't use this technique with a really large queen or king size quilt. They just get too heavy. But for smaller quilts like this, it's absolutely perfect. Now, I'm known on my blog for homemade spray baste. I love working with homemade spray baste. It's cheap, it's non-toxic, but I do just want to add that this is not the time to use homemade spray baste because homemade spray baste makes your quilt wet and heavy and it will not stick to the wall. So today, we're going to be using a normal store-bought aerosol adhesive. My personal favorite is the Spray and Bond adhesive. I get it at the big box store. I use a coupon. I find that it is the most affordable for the number of quilts that I can get out of a single can. It doesn't junk up my needle and it doesn't have a real strong smell. All right, let's get started. First up, I'm actually gonna pull this quilt top down and we're gonna put our batting up first. Now, my design wall is covered in batting, so this will stick kind of like those old school felt boards. If at any point during this process you find that you're having trouble getting your layers to stick, you can grab some straight pins and put them in at an angle in order to get a little bit more support. Now, batting stretches funny when we cut it off the roll. Whoop. So take your time to get it nice and smoothed out. And in fact, we'll stick a couple of pins in the top just to be safe. Do make sure though that you smooth any wrinkles out side to side. All right, next up, let's just take a peek at where our quilt top is going to end up. Kind of eyeball it so we know where we need to spray. I'm actually going to put the backing on first, but I like to use my top as my point of reference. As you can see, I did a nice generous spray and now we're ready to smooth the back. I like to smooth across the top first and then down the center, then out to the sides. If you've ever helped a teacher put bulletin board paper up, it's kind of like that. All right, so just finish smoothing this out. And then we're actually going to take the pins out and flip this whole thing around. I like to put the backing on first because then I can use it just like I referenced the top to know where to put my backing. As I put the backing on, or as I flip this around and put the top on, I can check to make sure that the backing exceeds the size of my top. We'll put those same pins in again, just for a little bit of security. Smooth everything out on the wall. We want these first two layers to be really, really smooth before we put our top on. And once again, let's reference our quilt top. And for this point, at this point, we know that the backing and batting are larger, but we don't want to have too much overspray because we don't want the extra batting to be sticky. So eyeball it. All right, and we're ready to spray. As you may have noticed, I like to use just a nice circular motion. It makes it easy. And along the bottom there, after getting that circular motion for a nice even coat, along the bottom I tried to err on the side of being a little too short because I can always lift the bottom of the quilt top and add a little bit more. Same as before, smooth the top. Oh. That's why it's important to make reference to your backing, because you want to make sure that you've got backing behind that quilt all the way across. Still a little close. And do a side check. This is the most finicky part of just making sure that you've got backing and batting all the way around. And you can see here it's not quite tacky at the bottom, so I'm going to add a little more spray. From this point, you're ready to take some scissors and trim that extra off the bottom, take this off the wall, and get to quilting. For more information and extra tips, be sure to visit my blog at stringandstory.com.